KBS is also accredited by JAJAM, that is Joint Accreditation System for Australia and New Zealand for QMS, EMS, ISO 45001, Energy Management System, and Food Safety Management. KBS is also accredited by Dubai Accreditation Center for QMS and Food Safety Management. KBS is also accredited as a designated operational entity by CDM Executive Board of UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, for validation and verification for sectoral scope 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So this accreditation pertains to climate change, and we are one of the most active validation and verification body across the globe for these climate change projects.
Internet problem कर रहा है. Should be off.
So now we come to the energy management system, that is ISO 50001. So we would briefly discuss about the purpose of this system. As you know, the conventional energy sources, they are depleting very fast. Whenever I say conventional energy sources, it means these are the fossil fuels. For example, the coal, the crude oil, the natural gases, the fuels which are not renewable. So they are the conventional energy sources, and they are the major source of energy for any industry across the globe. And on the other hand, the energy demand is increasing rapidly due to industrialization and development. So as we know, we have the limited stock of conventional energy resources. So we have to conserve these resources for our future generation. And the energy management system is one of the tools to conserve these natural resources for the long term and for the future generation. As I mentioned, it has the limited stock and they are depleting very fast. So we would like to further discuss the purpose and benefits of ISO 50001:2018, that is the latest version. Why an industry should go for the energy management system. Energy management system makes good business sense as energy cost is a significant portion in an organization's budget. This is well known fact. All the industry, the backbone is energy, and the energy cost is going to be increased day by day because the availability of the natural resources, as I mentioned in my previous slide, and the pace of development which is going on all across the globe. So the energy management system gives a systematic focus on energy management through optimum use of resources and reduction in waste. Whenever we are saying the energy management, it not only deals with the energy, but it also deals with the waste, because the energy is always part of energy as well as the material. So being an energy auditor, the energy audit is done by doing the energy balancing as well as the material balancing. So the energy management system will optimize the energy as well as the resources for any organization which is going for energy management system. In order to manage energy well, an organization requires an effective energy management system to be established, implemented, maintained, and continually improved. So that is the requirement of standard, that it has to be maintained, it has to be established, it has to be implemented, and you have to demonstrate the continual improvement in energy performance of an organization. Continual improvement means if you have a certain energy consumption at the time of implementing the energy management system, so the next year during the surveillance, you have to demonstrate that you have improved the energy performance of the organization continuously after implementing the energy management system. So the benefits of implementing energy management system, it provides organization with a well-recognized framework for integrating energy efficiency into their management business practices. So once the system will be there in the organization, then the organization will easily link their business practices with the energy management uh, systems. And the system also provide a logical and consistent methodology for identifying and implementing improvement that can contribute to a continual increase in the energy efficiency across the facilities. So once the system will be there, the methodologies will be there to improve the energy efficiency of organization, considering the various energy efficiency scopes within the organization. So it will benefit the organization overall. The system also assist organizations to better utilize existing energy consuming assets, that therefore reducing cost and avoiding expanding capacity. So there is a requirement in the system whenever you are going for the expansion or whenever you are going to retrofitting in your system, you have to consider the design in such a way that it will result in into the energy efficient way. It also offers on benchmarking, measuring, documenting and reporting energy efficiency improvement. So once the organization is having the standard, they will benchmark their performance with their peer groups. They will continuously improve their energy efficiency. They will document it, they will review it, and they will overall benefit the organization. So the benefits are continued. Lead organizations to meet overall climate change mitigation goal by reducing their energy related greenhouse gas emissions. So the greenhouse gases are directly related to the energy. If you have the higher energy consumption, you are doing the higher emissions in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, because the energy sources used for the electricity or the heat, they are the fossil fuels. Majority of them are the fossil fuels, and they are leading to the carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. And carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gas. So once the organization reduce their energy consumption or improve their carbon efficiency, they are resulting into the less greenhouse gas emissions. It also assists facilities in evaluating and prioritizing implementation of state-of-the-art energy efficiency technology. So once you have the system, and then whenever you are going for any setup in your organization, you will review all the available designs in the market and you will implement the most energy efficient technology within your organization. So now we are going to the terms and definition mentioned in ISO 50001 2018 standard, and we have the separate slides for these terms later on. So maybe I will be going briefly here in this slide. The policy, the definition of policy is similar to another management systems. So the intention and direction of an organization are formally expressed by the management. So that is very similar. And the next one is the energy policy. So energy policy that emphasize the energy requirement of an organization. We will go in detail in the next slides that is dedicated for this energy policy in our presentation later on. So similarly, there is the definition of energy management system. The management system or part of management system used to achieve ENMS policy. So any system which an organization is going to implement to meet the obligations or meet the dedications or commitments in the energy policy, that is the energy management system. The top management, the definition is similar to the other management systems. The effectiveness objectives, again, these are the same, but energy objectives are the objectives which are resulting to the energy performance of an organization. So we have the detailed presentation on these means important terminologies later on. So energy review. Energy review is the review which is done by the organization to meet their energy targets, energy action plan, and their baselines. That baseline we are going to discuss in detail in our next slides. The competence is similar to the other management system, but here the emphasis is on the energy. Again, these are the generic terms, so I am not going in details. Now the terminology comes into this standard ISO 50001 2018 is energy management team. So energy management team is a combination of personnel having the different expertise. For example, for a cement sector, if I have to form the energy management team, so I will have the person of this mechanical background, I will have the person of electrical background, I will have the person of chemical background, and I will have the person of purchase procurement also in the energy management team. So while implementing the energy management system, an organization has to form the energy management team considering the specialties in their organization. They have to deploy the different person in the team. Outsourcing, that is similar to the other management system. Make an arrangement when an external organization perform part of organization functions or processes, but focusing on to the energy. So monitoring means the organization has to monitor its energy performance in terms of quantitative parameters. For example, if an organization has to monitor the performance of their air conditioning system, then they have the monitoring of the key parameters. For example, the coefficient of performance of a chiller, that is HVAC. The requirements, need or expectation, that is stated, generally implied or obligatory. So that is similar to the other management systems. The corrective action, again, it is very similar with the other management systems. The continual improvement in terms of energy. So while implementing the ENMS, the organization has to demonstrate the continual improvement of energy performances which they have identified. The process, these processes in, uh, in the industries. The energy performance, these are the measurable results related to energy efficiency, energy use, and energy consumption. So we have the different presentation on that, in which we will discuss in detail with the detailed examples. ENPIs, we have the different slide, energy baseline, energy target. We will be discussing in detail in the next slides. So like other management systems, there are also the internal and the external issues. They are mentioned in the ENMS. So external issues which are beyond the control of organization, internal issues, they are within the control of our organizations, and these are listed here. External, the first one related to the external issue, that issue related to interested parties such as existing national or sectoral objective, requirement or the standards. So if we see in the Indian context, we have the certain acts, for example, the Energy Conservation Act 2001. So that is the external issues for any organization. The effect of greenhouse gas emissions, that is again the external issue. The effect of climate change, energy cost, because that is also beyond the control of organization. The social impacts. Similarly, there are internal issues which are in control of the organization. For example, operational risk and liability consideration, maturity of existing technology. So, for example, so in India, the major power sectors they are having means thermal power sector. They are having the subcritical power plant subcritical technology. Now the technology in the market is supercritical. So the subcritical technology that has come to the end of its maturity, so that needs upgradation. So that is the internal issue of any organization. For example, I have cited the example of power plants, so that is applicable for the thermal power plants. So similarly, the other internal issues we have to take taken into consideration while we are implementing the energy management system within the organization. So the next slide is the interested parties requirement. It is similar to the other management systems. Similarly, the external and internal. So external, these are the governments which are beyond the control of organization, authorities, suppliers. They might have some requirements. The contractor and subcontractor, the visitor, local community, shareholder, legal requirement. And similarly, the internal, the employee, the owner, employee union, and safety committee. Now we are going to the PDCA approach to ENMS. The PDCA approach, like the other management systems, it is also applicable to energy management systems. So what are the different parts of PDCA? I will go to my next slide. I have explained in detail in that slide. So first we go to the planning part. So while planning the energy management system or implementing the energy management system, we have to understand the context of our organization. We have to establish an energy policy and the energy management team. We have to consider actions to address risk and opportunities within the organization. We have to prepare a detailed methodology of energy review. We have to identify our significant energy usage. While implementing the ENMS, an organization has to fix its baseline. So what does baseline mean? So baseline is the reference point from which the organization will measure its continual progress in terms of energy performance. So I am taking an example of, for example, let us take the example of cement sector. So a cement sector, for example, having the specific energy consumption of X kilocalorie per ton of cement production in year Y. So that would be the baseline of that cement industries. Let's say it has the specific energy consumption of 10,000 kilocalorie per ton of cement production. So the base now they will have to demonstrate the improvement in their specific energy consumption from the 10,000 kilocalorie per ton, and it has to be reflected in their policies that next year they might have the improvement and they will have the targets of 9,500 kilocalorie per ton of specific energy consumption. So baseline is the reference point from where you have to demonstrate the continual improvement in the energy performance of organization. So baseline would be different for the different sectors where the energy management system is going to be implemented. For example, for the commercial building, so the commercial building can have define their baseline at, for example, the X kilowatt hour consumption per square feet of area. So that could be the appropriate baseline for building sectors. So after establishing energy baseline, an organization has to demonstrate its continual improvement, and the data period for the baseline, that is the minimum requirement of 12 months. So if the data is more than 12 months, it's a desirable, because it will have all the variation into consideration while fixing the baseline of an organization. A baseline considering average of past 2 or 3 years is more desirable because it will have more variables than the 12 years. But the minimum requirement is 12 months of data prior to implementing the energy management system in any organization. So the organization has to identify the energy performance indicators. I would like to explain the energy performance indicator. These are the monitoring parameters which can be quantified and monitored continuously. For example, efficiency, that is monitored. Percentage loading in the motors, that is also one of the energy performance indicator, or EPI. There may be n number of indicators depending on the utilities installed in particular organization. Here we have given this kilocalorie per ton, that is the specific energy consumption, or similarly the kilocalorie per kilowatt hour, that is applicable for the thermal power plants, that is called heat rate. So for 1 unit of electricity generation, how much kilocalorie of heat energy you are burning into the system, that is called heat rate. So heat rate can be one of the performance indicator for power plants. Similarly, specific energy consumption, kilocalorie per ton, that can be one of the performance indicator in the manufacturing sector. And the example of applicable legal and other requirements in Indian context, because every organization has to comply with the applicable legal requirements. So Energy Conservation Act 2001, that is one of the legal requirements. This act specifies the energy efficiency requirement in various sectors across India. And this act also mandates the energy audit in the various sectors across the country. These sectors has to go with the mandatory energy audit. So it has to be reflected in the energy policy of organization while implementing the energy management system. The second relevant act is Electricity Act 2003. It has the subsequent amendments later on. So these two acts, and the third one is the National Electricity Policy notified in 2005 that recommends providing reliable rural electrification system wherever conventional grid is not feasible. So these are the examples of applicable legal requirement in Indian context. The next one is the Rajiv Gandhi Gramin Vidyut Vitran Yojana. Here we go with the example of energy policy. So let me open. So it is an example of the energy policy for one of the industry. What they have mentioned, the company is committed to purchasing and using energy in most efficient, cost-effective, and environmentally responsible manner possible. Towards this end, the company will improve energy efficiency by implementing effective energy management that support all operational and customer satisfaction while maintaining a safe and comfortable working environment. The policy applies to the entire site, that is the boundary and the scope of ENMS they have applied. So they have set the objectives for themselves. They will benchmark all premises by March 2021. So they have the target reduce energy use per output by 15%. That is the continual improvement. They are talking about the continual improvement relative to 2019 base year by 2020. So they have fixed their baseline in 2019 and they said they will demonstrate the 15% reduction in their specific energy by 2022. That is the continual improvement. Implement a program of staff awareness that is related to competence and education of energy issues within the organization. And here is the legal compliances. Purchase 10% of energy use from renewable by 2020. So this is an example of energy policies which include the baseline, the continual improvement, the energy action plans, the energy targets, all are the part of this energy policy. So energy baseline, now we come. I had already explained it, but again, energy baseline is defined as the quantitative reference or reference providing a basis of comparison of energy performance. The energy baseline is reference for measuring energy performance over the time. Baseline is always pertaining to a period, which is known as the baseline period. For example, this organization at which energy policy we had discussed, they have fixed their baseline in 2019. So they had considered the data of 2019 while fixing their baseline. Now the other terminologies, it was already it was discussed in brief, but again we can have a look into it. The energy performance indicators. Energy performance indicator are the measurable indicator which are used to monitor the continual energy improvement of organization. For example, an organization, they have the energy action plan. They will reduce 10% of their energy from the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. So, what could be the ENPIs for this HVAC system? So one of the ENPIs could be the coefficient of performance of this heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, which they will monitor by monitoring the current, voltage, power factor, which they will define in their energy action plan. So similarly, there are other examples. This per unit production of electricity consumed, that may be for the manufacturing sector, coefficient of performance of chiller, heat rate of thermal power plant, percentage loading in the motors. So these are the example of ENPIs. Now the standard states that organization has to define its significant energy users. The definition of significant energy user is the systems or the utilities which are consuming most of the electricity or the thermal energy of any organization. For example, in the power plant, the boiler could be one of the significant energy users. In case of commercial building, the chiller or the HVAC could be one of the significant energy users. Similarly, for the different organization, there may be the different significant energy users. The organization has to define its significant energy users, and then they have to propose the methodology to reduce the energy consumption in their significant energy users. So the example which I have already referred, so HVAC system in commercial building, boiler in power plant, textile, pumps in the waste treatment plants, furnaces in foundries. So these examples are the significant energy users in the respective sectors. Now there is the another requirement in the standard for energy review. So when the organization has defined its energy policies, its ENPIs, its SE, significant energy users, and they have defined their objective, they have defined their action plan, then they have to review it. So to perform the energy review, it is necessary to understand how, why, and where energy is being consumed, and to identify where opportunities to improvement exist. So that's why the in the energy management team, the expertise from the different sectors or the different domains have been taken into consideration so that they can understood what are the opportunities of improvement in the system, how they can reduce the energy consumption in their respective sections without compromising the quality of the product. So for that, the organization does the energy review. Energy reviews analytical part of tactical energy planning process of any organization. Its purpose to obtain an overall picture of an organization's energy use. And so we have done this one example of energy review. For example, the energy management team of an organization is sitting monthly or quarterly, and they are analyzing the fuel data of organizations. So they can have this type of format for collecting the electricity consumption and the production from the various departments. So in this particular example, there are two sources of energy. That one is the thermal, and the second one is the electricity. So in thermal, there may be the different type of fuel. For example, coal may be the one type of fuel. The NG could be the other type of fuel. And for electricity, there may be their day consumption, their night consumption, their maximum demand, and they can collect the data in this format and they analyze it. And because the energy management team has the different type of competence, so they can analyze the fuel data, and based on that they can recommend the suitable measures to improve the energy performance of organization. So while doing the energy review, there may be requirement of converting the data for simplicity, and then we have given the example of conversion factors here, because if the energy comes into single parameters, then it would be easy to analyze the data and easy to recommend the future measures to improve the energy performance. So these are the typical conversion factors from electricity to thermal. So the next slide is the planning. So after the energy review, there is the requirement of energy planning. So we have given one example of this Internet of Thinking, Internet of Things, sorry, IoT, that is quite popular nowadays, and how the organization can improve their energy performance by the chiller. Chiller are very common in industry as well as for the commercial buildings. So they can monitor their energy performance by implementing the BMS. BMS is a tool that is called Building Management System. It has various sensors which are connected to the control room, and where the organization can have different type of inputs, and they can analyze the performance of real-time performance of their chiller. So this is the part of energy planning of an organization. So the next part of energy planning is the monitoring and the targeting. So essential elements of monitoring and targeting, that is the recording. So recording, it can be done through the instruments. For example, electricity can be recorded in the electricity meters. Flow rates can be recorded in the flow meters. NCBs can be recorded in the calorimeters. And then the analyzing of data. So once you have the recorded data, you need to analyze these recorded data and you correlate them, compare them, and you set the targets how to control the energy consumption of organization. And then you monitor the data and you report it within the organization to the top management. So as I have explained that there is the requirement of energy management team, that is the competence requirement of standard. We have cited the example of textile industry. So that could be the possible combination of energy management team for the textile sector, the factory manager, and he is assisted by the energy manager, then the manager utilities and maintenance. Normally we call the maintenance manager, the production manager, and the finance manager. So the energy management team having the competence with the various uh, domains of the textile industry. So they can propose, they can monitor, and they can suggest the improvement in the energy performance of the organization. So I think that's all from our side for this awareness program. If you have questions, you can type the questions. So the next segment of question and answer would be there. So we would try to answer as much as possible questions. And we would also like to announce here our next IRCA approved lead auditor course in September 2020. So any candidates who are interested to attend this course, they may contact with the email IDs provided in the slides. So I am keeping this slide open for a few moments so that you can note down the email IDs of the concerned person. We are just going through the questions and we will come back with the answer. Give us 5 minutes so that we can note down all the questions and can answer together.
Hello everyone. This is Madhuri once again, and we have a question here from the audience. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating and staying with us till the end. The question that we have with us is: how can an organization integrate 50,001 with existing implemented standards of 9,001? Sanjay?
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions. Yes, you can integrate the standards. And for example, you can couple a few of the procedures, for example, the document control and the internal audit, the MRMs, and which are common. And by referring both these standards, you can club this both these standards. If there are some requirements which are explicitly mentioned in different in two standards, then they have to document it separately for both the standards.
Then we also have another question from Mr. Ahmed, whether improving the efficiency and reducing the emissions cannot be part of EMS 14,001. I mean, if an organization has already taken environment management system, then energy also becomes a part of it, isn't it, Sanjay? What would you say? Can they reduce their emissions just by including this in the environment management system targets?
I will have to check this requirement because I'm not auditor for this EMS 40,001.
Yeah, but
so
I
we'll
believe,
check it and we will respond to your query on email.
yes, thank you. But I think environment is also very closely linked to it, and there might be some interconnections there. But an energy management system would be dedicatedly focusing just on the energy aspect. So I think it is still much more relevant to go for an energy management system. But we'll definitely come back to you on this aspect as just.
And as far as the emissions are concerned, these are separately, there is a separate standard ISO 14064 for accounting these greenhouse gases emission reductions.
Yes. We have another question. Do you provide 50,001 LA training course?
Yes.
Yes, we do. And the slide you can see in front of us. You can contact our training department for the same. Will these slides be shared through email?
This is just an awareness program. So we'll check with our training team whether they have their provision to share the slides.
We have another question from Mr. Sanjeev. Can we have a copy of energy policy?
Yes, this example energy policy we can share with them.
Yeah,
So,
is it publicly available in the public domain? Yes.
Yeah.
Which are the legal requirements requiring to ENMS?
These are these depends on the industry to industry, country to country, and sector to sector.
Then we have another question from Mr. Manish. If an organization wishes to undertake external audit of for ENMS, how it is going to benefit them and what are these benefits? I think that
these benefits are improving the energy performance of the organization itself, because if the system is not there, the people do not care of energy improvement opportunity. If the system is there, then everything has to be happened as part of system, and the organization will consider every opportunities into consideration as far as energy efficiency is concerned in their system. And yeah, system binds us to implement the energy efficiency.
Yeah, the initial part of your presentation was completely focused on the benefits that you could get from the energy management systems. So if you recall that, then you'll be able to get the answers. Then we have another question. As a part of applicable legal and regulatory requirements, are energy audits mandatory for an organization?
Energy audit is not mandatory. Energy audit can be done as part of energy action plan, but it's not mandatory to do the energy audits for taking the ENMS.
Okay. But I believe some of the sectors, like some of the hospitals and others, they
where
have
there is the mandatory requirement, and it is the added benefit.
Yeah. We have a lot of compliments that we have received for the presentation, Sanjay. So that is a fantastic work. But then we have another question where they're asking, what's the difference between monitoring and measuring? ISO 50001 energy systems, as is it evident from the standard, focuses on reduction consumption of energy by industry, improve energy performance. Is there any clause in the standard which encourages industry to promote renewable energy, for example, solar energy, wind energy, etc.?
As far as the difference between the measuring and the monitoring, measuring is you measure it through any instrument or any device, but monitor means you also record it, you analyze it, and you review that data. So measuring is only to taking the data, but monitoring is to record it, to analyze it, and to review it. So monitoring is the broader terminology than measuring. And as far as the renewable energy is concerned, there is no mandatory requirement, but again, this could be the added benefit for the organization while they are procuring energy from the renewable sources.
Right, Sanjay. Sanjay, we have more questions for you. I'm sorry. Ms. Lakshmi has asked, what is the major change from the 2011 version to 2018 version?
Major change, there is no major change. Only the major change is the requirement of continual improvement. The 2011 standard didn't enforce the continual improvement, but the 2018 standard has the provision to demonstrate the continual improvement. The certificate will only granted by the certification body if they could see the continual improvement in the energy performance of organization from the baseline, then they are eligible for the certificate. Otherwise, the certificate will not be granted.
Okay. Sanjay, you have shared a slide on policy, and we have a question here from Norberto. Is it mandatory for the objectives to be part of the policy statement?
Yes.
Okay. We have also asked, we also have a question from Mr. Manish. This LA course is in-house or online? we are offering a lot of online courses, and in this current times of corona pandemic, we have offered these courses to be available in virtual mode. And as you can see on the slide, Ms. Surbi Singh, who's heading our trainings department, she will be able to provide you more details regarding the fees, because another question is there on the fees for the lead auditor program that we have. And when you in the email where you get the certificates from us for this awareness program, in response to that email, you can have your specific questions directed to our training team, and they can get back to you. If KBS also provide training for LA 27001.
I think we had applied, so we will check our training team.
Right.
So,
I am not sure about the current status of its
but the application has been sent to IRCA, so let us check the status and get back.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. There's another question regarding the baseline. To identify the baseline, should we go for energy audits?
Not mandatory, but if you have done the energy audit, then it would be easy to compile it, because you will be having the data. Then you have to define only the baseline. But it is not mandatory, but it's desirable. If it is having with you the energy audit report, then easy to fix the baseline from that data, readily available data.
Right. So more than one delegates had the same question, Sanjay. And then we have another one where we are asked if can an engineering graduate do this course?
Yes.
So that was passed, Sanjay. So via 50,001 energy management system, as is evident from the standard, focuses on reduction. Performance, is there any clause in the standard which encourages industry? Okay, we already had this question with us. Good session. I think we will close for now, because we are overshot the time. But we would request, we thank you a lot for your overwhelming response, and for any further questions, please feel free to get in touch with the emails which are provided to you on the slide that you can see, and also in response to the email which gives you the certificates.
Yeah, thank you very much for your valuable time, and I hope you understood the basic concepts, because this was the awareness training. So there was the limitation of time also. So we tried our best to explain the basic requirements of the standard.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much.